Welcome back, everyone, to a very special episode of the Draw Control podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by Dani Cox, who is a player on the Australian U20 women's lacrosse team. In the 7 games that she played, Dani scored 6 goals and had 1 assist as she helped lead her team to a fourth place finish. Dani currently plays for Burnside Lacrosse Club, and we are so excited to have her on the podcast so we can share stories like hers from players from Australia and different countries. Welcome to the podcast, Dani, and how is everything going?
Really good, thank you.
Well, let's get started by talking about the beginning of your lacrosse career and working all the way up to where you are today. So, you're from Adelaide, Australia. So, talk about growing up there and how did you start playing lacrosse?
Well, I actually started playing lacrosse through school. In Adelaide, school lacrosse isn't really a big thing, but my school offered it when I was younger. So I started when I was about 7 years old. And I played for school for a little bit, and then Burnside actually was connected with my school, so I was able to go straight into Burnside and play with them in under 13s, which was really good.
Now, who were some of your lacrosse role models growing up in Australia?
Trish Adams is a huge one for me. Like being able to speak to her whenever we're playing games against Brighton or just even at like club games. It's really amazing to be able to talk to her and like learn from her and all her experience as well.
Now, like you just mentioned, you currently play for Burnside Lacrosse Club. So, for those who don't know, describe what your lacrosse club is like. Who are some of the players that you get to play with? Who coaches you, and who are some of the teams that you get to play against on a daily basis?
Well, Burnside is a one of the bigger clubs here. We have teams across all age groups in both men and women. We have in my state league team for Burnside, we have a lot of New Zealand players, which is really cool, being able to play with other countries. And then our coach, he is his first year was coaching senior women was this year. So we finished fourth this year, which was really good. And we were able to play against teams like Brighton and Glenelg and Woodville.
Now, what has been your favorite memory with Burnside so far?
I think this year in my under 18s, as it was my last year in the junior leagues, it was so much fun. I was able to captain the team, and it was just such a great environment with this team, having younger players and getting to be a role model to them.
Now, how do you think Burnside helped prepare you for the U20 World Championships?
They're really accommodating with like all of our Aussie trainings as we would be training on the same nights as club training. So they knew that I wouldn't be able to attend club trainings, and they were really supportive over social media throughout the whole World Cup as well.
Now, let's transition and talk about those U20 World Championships. So, how does the selection process work for Team Australia, and where were you when you found out you were going to Hong Kong?
So we started trialing in July last year, and we trial in the states first. So the head Megan Mollison came over, and each state trialed, and then it got cut down, and we had trials in October and December, and there was a cut between those two. And then in January this year, we competed in a tournament called the Southern Cross Tournament, which is against the New Zealand under 20 team and also some Japanese college teams. So that was the final trials. And then the team got announced on the 13th of January, and I was up in Queensland on a family holiday when I found out.
Nice, it's awesome to be around your family during that
Yeah.
announcement. That definitely is very special. Now, talk a little bit about your experience off the field in Hong Kong and Japan, because I know that your team went there before the tournament and what it was like getting to experience both those countries.
Japan was so much fun, especially being able to like I've never been to Japan or Hong Kong before, so seeing the like Hong Kong the like temples in Japan, sorry, was really cool. And then in Hong Kong, when we were off the field, it was just so much fun hanging out as a team, as because we're all from all over Australia, we don't see each other that much, and it was so much fun being able to just spend so much time together. And where our hotel was right next to like night market, so we're able to go there or restaurants and just like hang out as a team was by far the best part.
Now, from your perspective, what was like the biggest thing that you got better at throughout the tournament, lacrosse wise?
I think just I've never had like that sort of competition against other countries, especially teams like the US, and just getting to play against really strong defense was just like so amazing. And it just taught me so much about like ways to dodge because dodging against players in Australia's, especially in like under 18s, they're like not as strong. So getting to really like show my skills was really cool. And I really learned a lot from that.
Now, you got to play with a lot of incredible players from your country during your time in the tournament. Two specific players I wanted to ask you about was Osha Levy and Miriam Suarez Jury. As an attacker, what's it like having to get the chance to play with those midfielders, and what makes them great players in your opinion?
Yeah, it's just such an incredible experience playing with them, especially like Mim, where I'm used to playing against her in because she's like similar age to me, playing against her in state tournaments and just being able to be on the same team as them and like their speed coming down through the midfield and their communication is just it's amazing to see. And they're just such incredible players. And I like really excited to see like Mim at her first year at Loyola is going to be incredible to watch. And Osha's just such an incredible leader and teaches us so much on and off the field.
Now, what's it like being coached by Megan Mollison and the entire coaching staff in the tournament?
Megan was an amazing coach, and being from a different state from me, it was amazing to see her at camps. And she used all her knowledge and taught us everything that we needed to know. And the rest of the coaching staff, and specifically Sean Clark, who was our attacking coach, coming from a men's background, it was definitely having that men's like the tactics used in men's was really helpful to the a women's side, and it was definitely something different that none of us had really used before. And I really enjoyed like learning his ideas in his first women's team.
Now, let's talk about your team's performance in the tournament overall. So, in group play, your team dominated, winning all four games. What would you say was your team's success, the key to your team's success in the group stage?
I think it's our community. We just have such a strong community in lacrosse Australia, even like with our fans and just everyone. And just we all trust each other, all 22 of us and the coaches. We're always there for each other, and we just practice that like control in attack and defense. And it showed in those group stages, and we were able to come away with the wins because we all trusted each other.
You then played Wales in the quarterfinal game, which you ended up winning. To talk about that victory and just the battle that the two of your teams had, because it was very fun to watch as a fan, and also talk about the goal you scored in that game as well, because that was very impressive to watch as well.
It was just incredible to win that game. And I was really happy with my goal as well as um I was really happy with it and the way it came off. And just everyone like we were just so happy and enjoying that time playing against Wales. And it was raining a bit, but we put that aside and we just went through for it, and we knew we had to win that game, and we came away with the win, which we were just so incredibly proud of.
Now, in the semifinal and bronze medal games, your team lost to Team USA and Japan. Even though those games didn't go your team's way, what was it like getting the chance to compete for a medal and also play against a really good USA team that ended up winning the entire tournament?
Playing for a medal was just amazing. And we never expected like to we didn't expect anything, like we hoped for the best. And it was just incredible to play at that stadium and all the fans and just playing against countries like Japan, because we don't do that very often. And just getting to see how they play and putting up a really good fight. And it was a really enjoyable game. Obviously it would have been better with the win, but it was still so much fun, and like I'll never forget it. And then playing against the US has just teaches us so much. We look up to those players, and just standing like either on the sideline or in attack when the ball's in their attack, just seeing how they move the ball so quickly, and they all like have so much trust in each other. It's incredible to watch.
I heard Japan plays a very specific style of defense. Is that something that you notice as an attacker?
Yeah, I did definitely notice it, and I also noticed the way that they play attack as well. Watching from the our attacking side is they really love to hold the ball and really value the ball and only go for the 100% shot, which is something to learn. It's not about scoring 20 goals. They really value and will play like a 5-6 win game, and they're happy to do that and hold the ball for as long as they can.
Now, what will you take away from your experience at the U20 World Championships overall?
I'll just take away the experience and being able to play against other countries because not many people and all my friends at school, like none of them play lacrosse and not many of them will ever get the opportunity to play for their country. And just being able to represent and wear the green and gold was just something that I'll never forget. And it with all my closest friends, it's just such an incredible experience and meeting all people from around the world is just it's so cool.
Who was the coolest person you got to meet in the tournament that you remember?
Probably Izzy Skane. Me and my friend were able to get a photo with her, and she even reposted it on her Instagram story. So that was pretty cool. And it was really cool to meet her.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let's now move on to a segment I like to call the non-lacrosse segment, where I ask you some non-lacrosse questions to get to know you a little bit more off the field. So, first one is, who is the funniest teammate you have on the Australian lacrosse team?
That's a really hard question. Probably actually my roommate, Izzy Jackson. Um, she plays in Adelaide as well. She plays for Woodville, and she's just some of the things she says just so funny, and it's just so much fun being around her and being around everyone.
Now, which teammate has the best style off the field?
Um, Probably Mia Inge because her hair is just amazing and she always has like the best, even the best game day hairstyles. And it's just like I could never braid like the way she can. It's just so cool.
Now, where is one place you would love to travel to one day now that you visited two different countries in the past month?
Probably Greece, or I would love to go to America and like see New York at Christmas time. But yeah, probably Greece and or Europe in summer.
Now, speaking of America, what is one question that you have for Americans in general?
Um, It's probably just like what's the college life like? Because universities over here are very different and they're more just all about the education. And I've seen like all over social media about the college life in America, and I just would love to know what it's actually like.
Yeah, I would sort of answer. I think it sort of depends on where you go. Some schools are, I assume, are very accurate towards that stereotypical college lifestyle that you see in movies and TV shows, but there's probably other universities that people go to where it's nothing like that at all. If it's a little bit smaller, I think it depends if you go to a smaller college or a bigger college.
Mm.
I'd say my question for Australians is this is very basic, but what's it like? Your thoughts on just the wildlife in Australia? Because obviously, if I ever saw like a koala or a kangaroo, I would be pretty stoked and it would be like sort of a once in a lifetime experience. But when Australians see those creatures, are they like or do they take it for granted? Or are they like, oh, it's just a koala or a kangaroo? We see those all the time.
Um, well, with koalas, actually, it's actually quite cool because if you see them like crossing the road or something, you actually look at it and it's really cool because you don't see that often. They're usually just in the trees. And a lot of the time you don't actually see them because they're up so high. And kangaroos, it really just depends where you are. If you're up in the Adelaide Hills, which is like a famous area in Australia, there's loads of kangaroos and you see them like jumping in your backyard. But down here in the city, if you saw a kangaroo, it'd be pretty crazy and it would be really cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I heard koalas like sleep all the time too, so that's another reason I assume why you
Yeah,
don't see them.
yeah, they do.
Now, speaking of Australia, what's your favorite part about Australia?
Probably just like it's such a beautiful place, and no matter where you go, like in Australia, the beaches are incredible, especially in Adelaide. The beaches are 20 minutes from me, and it look on like a map, it looks like I'm so far from the beach, but because Australia populations is so small, you're just able to get to the beach so quickly, and it's just beautiful, especially in the summer.
Now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Um, it would probably be Taylor Swift, just because I really love her music, and when I went to her concert earlier this year, it was just incredible, and I'd love to have lunch with her or dinner and just ask her so many questions.
Now, getting back to some lacrosse questions now. My first one is what should be done to help continue to grow women's lacrosse in Australia?
I think it's just like what my school had back when I was younger, having lacrosse in schools, because a lot of the time if you start through club, it's because of a family member playing, whereas people like me who don't have any family members that play, it's really hard to get into it. So I think it should be in all schools, like soccer and Australian footy. It just should be a sport that everyone plays when they're younger, and then clubs will get more people to join.
Now, last question I have for you, Danny, is do you have any shout outs you want to give and who from your team should we have on the podcast next?
I think just anyone from like Adelaide or even Melbourne, just someone that like plays in the clubs around here, just because it's so different to anything that's in America. It's so much smaller, and just like especially people from Melbourne, they play very different as well from us everywhere around the world. Around Australia is just so different.
Well, Danny, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was so much fun getting the chance to learn more about you and Australia. So I really enjoyed this conversation, but have a great rest of your day. This was super fun
Thank you so much
conversation
for
to have.
having me.